It's okay. We're not saving lives here. Those were the words a manager at IBM used to comfort someone who made a significant mistake in a computer program that was to be delivered to significant clients. I remember listening to the manager recount this story to me soon after I graduated with a computer engineering degree, presumably to make me feel better about any mistake I might make in the future. But instead, I was left wondering why we didn't consider the impact computer programs were having on these clients' lives. I had been raised to always look for ways to support my community and do what I could to provide for the needs of other people. Why was there this big disconnect with my chosen profession? Couldn't we use technology to drive systemic change in society to improve equity? Couldn't we use technology to advance the public interest? I genuinely loved being a software engineer. And as my career progressed, I further questioned how people, not just as potential clients, but as valuable members of society and humanity, were thought of during the engineering process. Spoiler alert, they often weren't. Some people may think of code as just a bunch of ones and zeros written by techies in hoodies in a garage somewhere. But actually, technology works best when we realize the power that code has on our lives. It turns out I'm not the first person to wrestle with these thoughts. I look to one of the pioneers in public interest technology, computer scientist and Harvard University professor, Dr. LaTanya Sweeney. Public interest technology is formally defined as the study and application of technology expertise to advance the public interest, generate public benefits, and promote the public good. You know how when you Google yourself, you learn there's a lot of information out there about you in publicly accessible databases? Well, Dr. Sweeney discovered that a computer-savvy person like myself and many others, if they have the time and the interest, could put all of this information together and emerge with a description of you. Your name, exactly where you live, what health conditions you have, and what your overall prognosis is. This would be a problem because not only does it probably make you uncomfortable to think of someone having access to that level of information about you, but a nefarious person could use that information to target you or discriminate against you. Dr. Sweeney, by employing a variety of computer science techniques, like writing programs and algorithms to discover the available information, analyzing the structures, and reconstructing what she found, showed that this information, this data, was not truly anonymized, as some had said, but could instead be used to identify specific individuals. Dr. Sweeney took it a step further by working with health experts to understand some of the data and with legal experts to understand the options available to control who gets access to this information. But Dr. Sweeney didn't stop there. She went ahead and testified to Congress, a body charged with protecting us as citizens. And as a result of her work, Congress made changes to the system in what we know as HIPAA laws. When you go to the doctor and sign the paper stating your health information can't be shared, that's in part because of her work. By relying on those ones and zeros, Dr. Sweeney's work truly affected lives. Now, Dr. Sweeney is what we call a public interest technologist. She didn't just use her technical expertise to identify and study a problem. She also worked with non-technical experts to put the problem in context and understand what a productive solution could be. She knew that it would not be enough to find a solution. There had to be a systemic change for the solution to help the public. By advocating with policymakers to show how information in the wrong hands could be harmful, she translated the technology into something that could create a positive change in society. This work isn't just happening by people at universities. As I've pivoted my own career, I've seen that intentionally doing research and designing technology while considering the ethical and societal consequences of tech is not an ambition. It is possible and it is happening today. I've gone from being an engineer at IBM with managers who don't actively think about technology impacting lives to driving science and technology innovation from the White House. I partnered with state and local government agencies to develop human-centered solutions that their constituents use, and I've deployed current technology with a variety of nonprofits, both inside and outside of the US. I've designed with, not for, communities on projects ranging from financial inclusion to cybersecurity to frontline health workers and more. And I've seen that for every app, for every website, there's someone who's coming to those tools to have their needs met. Even as we live through a pandemic, people are using technology to go to a website and connect with other humans, to look for housing, and to apply for government services. It's so important that the people who are designing those programs are aware from the beginning about the implications of those ones and zeros on lives and livelihoods. When they don't, things can go really badly really quickly. Imagine using a social networking site and discovering you didn't see everything you searched for because it had been designed in such a way that advertisers could prevent you from seeing certain options based on your race, your gender, or your age. But here's the thing. Using the public interest technology framework allows us to not just imagine a more equitable world, but to actively build justice into the systems that drive our world. The reality is that technology innovations don't exist in a vacuum. They're extensions of our political and social worlds. Take, for example, the Citizen Clinic that operates out of UC Berkeley. It is staffed by a bunch of public interest technologists applying their technical skills to organizations that serve vulnerable populations, domestic violence victims, people experiencing homelessness, exploited children, refugees. These organizations have a tremendous amount of data. Can you imagine what would happen if this data got into the wrong hands? Focused on cybersecurity, the Citizen Clinic supports organizations to make sure their clients aren't targeted, bullied, or harassed, and their data isn't held hostage. The clinic provides critical assessments of the organization's technical vulnerabilities and offers strategies and sometimes actual tools in the form of computer programs to allow these organizations to protect people. Do we still think we're not capable of protecting lives with those ones and zeros? In my current role at DataKind, I have the privilege of working with technical volunteers who, like me, want to translate their technical skills in concrete ways to impact lives, giving others access to services, security, and safety. We've gotten to work with a number of organizations, but one of the most exciting projects to me was the opportunity to work with Plentiful. You've probably seen images of people waiting in long lines to feed their families during this pandemic. Plentiful is an app that allows families to find food pantries and food banks and get the food they need without waiting in line. By working with a team of data scientists, we were able to go behind the scenes and create an algorithm that identified issues, notified the right person at the food bank so they could make the appropriate adjustments, reacting to an item running low, for example. Ultimately, we were able to connect more people to food. Now is the moment for public interest technologists. We face problems of massive scale, the COVID-19 pandemic, rapidly changing economies, even political tensions, and a reckoning with racial disparities. Public interest technologists must have a space in every sector so that the products we use every day, products that dictate how we interact with the world, are in the public interest. The combination of skills that public interest technologists bring, including empathy and long-term perspective taking, evaluation of trade-offs with an ethical and legal framework, and consideration of societal implications, are critical to having technologies that recognize everyone, regardless of skin tone, and disseminate true and accurate information. It's time we reframe our expectations of how technology is developed and applied. The people I've talked about today are computer engineers like myself, computer scientists, data scientists, and software engineers, all using their technical expertise to meet the needs of others. We are public interest technologists, and we have a new story to tell. We are going to be okay. We are improving lives here.